Hello, I'm Jill Mackay and I'm a member of the Headspace crew. We are a group of experienced organisational mindset, well-being and change experts who've come together to support organisations, managers and teams during the coronavirus crisis and afterwards too. We're producing a series of short videos aimed at helping managers with simple, effective tools, strategies and ideas to help them stay productive and also sane when working at home, or also when managing remote working teams, which can be, as we all know, tricky at the best of times. A little bit about my background. Following a corporate career, mainly in the learning and development area, I co-founded a company called My Brain International a number of years ago. I help organisations, trainers and coaching to enhance their results using neuroscience in their work. My work is broad-ranging and it's all about raising self-awareness, increasing motivation and engagement, and helping people to learn a little bit about their brains and to create change and transformation in their lives and in their work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a series of slides with you now and go through the videos that I'm going to be working with you in this series. This series looks at how to keep yourself and your team motivated at home, with some research-based insights and tips to give you some practical ideas that you'll be able to use immediately. This lockdown situation really turns the volume up a little bit on all your managerial skills. It's essential to keep communicating with your team, acknowledging their personal situations, yet of course still remain focused on achieving results and performance objectives. There are 3 videos which will also be useful when this lockdown eases. Indeed, some of you may have already had a partial return to work. But of course, all the way through, there are references to these unique times. There's also a simple PDF document you can download and use to take notes in the exercises. And I provided a summary of the content in there as well. You can see the link for the download on this slide, so maybe pause the video while you grab the download. In this motivation series, there are 3 videos, each less than 15 minutes. This first one talks about the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, those internal and external drivers, with an exercise in the handout to reflect on how you are motivated and your team members too. Video 2 gives you some research to help you think about managing your team with 3 specific areas of intrinsic motivation. And these are autonomy, which is all about freedom, mastery, which is all about learning, and purpose, which is all about contribution. Despite their rather academic sounding titles, I'll break down each area for you into practical ideas that you can think about for yourself and your team, and they are really useful. The final video in this motivation series looks specifically at the challenges of working at home and how, as a manager, you can coach your team members to set them up for success with practical ideas and suggestions for discussion. There are exercises all the way through, and a reminder again of where to get the PDF download is on the slide. All the content is relevant to the current situation of working at home, but will also be useful when lockdown eases more. And some of you may be working partially in your workplace and partially at home already. So let's look at motivation and what it means. Simply put, motivation drives behaviour. We all have different reasons for getting up every morning and doing what we do every day. But on some days, it can feel harder than others to get up when your alarm goes off, to go for a run, to focus on objectives for work, to concentrate and participate on that Zoom call when all you really want to do is to watch Netflix. So motivation, or a lack of it, is usually behind why we do the things that we do, and therefore the results that we get. So if we're hungry, we may be motivated to look for a snack. If we're tired, we may be motivated to take a break. And if we're stuck in some way, we may phone a friend for some help. But here's the thing. Motivation is not a formula or an algorithm or a set of practices or a rule book you can just roll out or give to someone. Motivation is unique to everyone. We all have different experiences, different backgrounds, different DNA, different goals, dreams, standards of achievement, and the list goes on. So some people, if they're stuck, they won't ask for help. They may bury their head in the sand and ignore the problem, or power through researching a problem until late at night when they can solve it. We are all different, and of course that makes the job of being a manager all the more exciting, but of course all the more challenging. So let's look at two broad categories of motivation that are helpful to understand, and these are intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation involves doing something because it's personally rewarding to you. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, involves doing something because you want to earn a reward or avoid some sort of punishment or consequence. So when you're intrinsically motivated, your behaviour is motivated by your internal desire to do something for its own sake. For example, your personal enjoyment of doing it, or your desire to learn something new because it's fun. It's about doing things, expanding and learning without the need for an external reward. On the other hand, when you're extrinsically motivated, your behaviour is motivated by an external factor pushing you to do something in the hopes of earning a reward or avoiding a less than positive outcome, so avoiding a consequence. Examples of intrinsic motivation could include watching a TED talk because you want to learn something useful, going for a run because you want to help relieve some potential stress and you know it makes you feel absolutely fantastic afterwards, or cleaning your home office because it makes you feel organized and you like that. Whereas some examples of extrinsic motivation could be watching that same TED talk because you know your boss wants you to discuss it in a team meeting and you want to do well, or running to lose weight and you don't want to have to pay at your slimming club, or cleaning your home office because you've got a Zoom call coming up with your team and you don't want to be teased about the mess. Both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation work as they lead to a change in behaviour and give you some momentum to take action. And both are often at play at the same time. So a team member could be enjoying working hard to a deadline because they enjoy the work, but also they're motivated by the anticipated positive feedback that you as their manager may give them. The key is to figure out why you and your team are motivated to do things and to encourage both types of motivation. Now, research has shown that feedback and praise can help increase intrinsic motivation. Positive feedback that is sincere and specific can promote motivation, it can make people feel really good and intrinsically want to do more. But external rewards, if given too easily, can actually decrease motivation. So as a people manager, it is really important to be intentional with your praise and positive feedback. Make sure that it's specific, empowering, and helps your team members to understand your expectations and standards. But make sure you aren't giving too much praise for work that's less meaningful for your team, or they might lose their internal intrinsic motivation. Looking at another scenario, in some cases, people may never be internally motivated to complete a task, and extrinsic motivation can be used to get the job done. It may be the work just doesn't float their boat, but it's necessary for that work to be done. So rewards like small bonuses or prizes and awards can also motivate people to learn new skills or provide that tangible feedback beyond just verbal praise. So working towards that prize can be helpful, and knowing that they won't get the prize unless they complete the task to a particular deadline can work too. So it's important to wave a warning red flag to tread carefully with extrinsic rewards. Remember what I said, that studies have shown that offering too many rewards for behaviours and activities that people are already intrinsically motivated to do can actually decrease that person's intrinsic motivation. This is called the over-justification effect. In these cases, offering rewards for activities the person already finds rewarding can make a personally enjoyable activity actually seem like work, which could kill their motivation to keep doing it. The rewards can crowd out and undermine good behaviour, they can crush creativity and actually diminish performance, maybe encouraging shortcuts or less effort and more short-term thinking. And of course, in so doing, they can become demotivating. So as a people manager, use extrinsic rewards sparingly to motivate your team to take on perhaps new responsibilities or achieve more challenging goals. And keep alert to the red flag. And of course, the best way to understand their motivation is to talk to them. If you have a look at the PDF handout, it would be useful now to think for yourself what motivates you in your work and maybe your life as well. And then look at your team members and write down from what you know of them already and what you've observed in the past, what you think their prime motivators are. Think it through. And then, and this is the most important thing to do, ask your team members to think about it too. Set up some time to have a conversation with each team member about this. It's a great way to show your team, particularly during these challenging times of the virus, that as their manager, you can offer support and listen to what matters to them. So the slide shows some examples, and there are a few more in the PDF handout to help with your thinking. So let's just take a look at the intrinsic motivation side. It may be around the motivation for personal development because your team member loves learning and really wants to step into that best version of themselves. Or maybe you enjoy mentoring other people because you feel intrinsically rewarded when you see people making great progress. On the other side, maybe one of your team members really wants to work hard because they're striving to become the employee of the month, and that's super motivating for them. Or another extrinsic example is maybe around studying for a professional qualification, not necessarily because they enjoy the work itself, but because they know it's going to help with prospects in the future. So that's the end of video 1, looking at motivation through the different lenses of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. When you've had a think about your own motivation and the team's, hop over to video 2, where I'm going to dig deeper into intrinsic motivation and what you as a manager can do to help yourself and your team members recognize their motivators at a deeper level.